Namaste.
Okay, okay,
So welcome to
okay,
my
okay.
channel. So can you introduce yourself?
Yes. My name is Jenny Brooke, and I am from England. And we have travelled for about 12 days between Nepal and Bhutan. I made a basic error in that I thought I was going to be travelling further north in both Nepal and Bhutan. But nevertheless, it's been really interesting, and we have seen a wide variety of culture and thoroughly enjoyed seeing monuments and temples, and but most of all perhaps seeing people and seeing the different cultures.
Mhm.
And today has been fascinating because of the wonderful Durbar Square and all those amazing buildings. But then we had, after lunch, which was lovely, a really interesting walk down through some of the back streets. The only problem with that was it was a bit quick. I enjoy seeing the reality of people's lives, and not just luxury in a grand hotel, but also poverty and everything in between, and meeting educated people.
Same as like.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's been fascinating and illuminating experience in every sense. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Would you like me to keep going on? Shall we stop
Yes,
now?
definitely, but definitely, I love because when we meet in morning, so, I know you are the teacher. Now you're retired, but you are how much humble, how much kind, how much the lovely, loving and caring. So definitely, this is all about your life, and now you became a more happy, like to travel around the world. So it's like a part of your life,
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
philosophy also. Philosophy of travel is like when you going somewhere, you connect their local culture, people, food.
Well, that's the
Yeah,
point of
yeah,
traveling.
yeah.
But I mean, if you want me to go right back, I was born in Ireland to a very poor home.
Oh.
So I didn't have uh, much money. We had no money when I was growing up. But I was very fortunate because I lived in a country where girls could have education.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was able to go and train to be a teacher and go to university. And at university, where I took my degree, I met my husband, who was English, and that's when I moved to England and spent the rest of my life and brought my family up there.
Oh.
So and we didn't have any money when we were married. That was back in the 70s. We did not have much money. We worked hard. We both worked to earn, and we've only really been able to afford to travel since we retired. So,
So basically, you and your husband, both you are the teacher, yeah?
my husband
So,
worked at the Open
okay,
University,
yeah.
so he was one of the very first people
Yeah.
who to do distance teaching.
Distinct. Oh.
Yes, so he was very proud of that, and very proud of the people who could go to higher education even if they've never had any before. So he was very proud of that, and he could have gone on to other universities, but he preferred to help people who had not had education previously. So
That's fantastic. And you teach school or college?
I taught very young children who
Young
were,
children.
yes,
Yeah.
up, from 4, 5, 6, 7.
Oh.
So,
Which subject you teach?
well, when they're that age, you teach everything.
Oh.
You teach them to read and write and
Yeah.
and just, but they're so endearing, and small children are just so wonderful, as they grow, and so interesting.
Yeah.
And some of them, they have grown up to be have really interesting careers. Lots of them have been doctors and lawyers, but my most famous ones, you will like this.
Yeah.
I have two very famous ones who grew up to be U2, the very famous pop band.
Pop band, oh.
So I taught two of those when they were little boys aged 5 and 6. So they're the most famous ones.
Oh, nice.
But many others have grown up to be authors, doctors, lots of doctors and pharmacists. And it's a real pleasure when you hear again what they're doing. I had a recent experience when I was walking down the street in my local town, and a young man came running after me and asked me who I was and reminded me who he was and told me what he's doing now. He's at university doing a PhD in one of the London universities.
Oh,
So that is so exciting when people remember me and remember me fondly, because I remember them fondly. Yeah. So is that enough?
What is your secret of happiness? I see your face will happy, and I mean, the secret behind something?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm very fortunate. I think I'm a very lucky person. I mean, I probably should tell you. Well, you may know from my passport that I will be 80 years old this year.
Now you are 80.
I will be 80.
Oh my God.
So, I am a very lucky person to be as healthy as I am,
Yeah.
and to have had a very happy marriage before my husband died. I have very good memories, and although I was born in a very poor background, I've been very fortunate in my life, and I have a lot to be thankful for. And so many experiences to enjoy, so, including meeting you today.
Yeah. So why people are suffering? I mean, when you travel, you see there is many people are suffering.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I think we live in a global world where there is a lot of unfairness,
Mhm.
and some people live in real poverty with so little, and other people are so affluent that the divide is just, I feel very sad, that there is that huge divide between the rich and the poor. And in the global world that we live in, there is very little control for people, and everybody has a mobile phone now, so they can see how other people live. They want the nice things, and why shouldn't they? But if they come to my country, England, we are overcrowded.
Yeah, already overcrowded.
Very overcrowded, and we have really good things like our National Health Service, but that can't cater for everybody. And people who come to our country as immigrants are costing our country a huge amount, vast millions of pounds. So people resent that. But when I travel, I think, well, why wouldn't they come? I think I'd want to leave, very poor circumstances if I could, and make a better life somewhere else. Does that answer your question a little bit?
Yeah, a little bit. So, I mean, my question is focusing now, like me.
Yes.
How can I happy with my present life?
Well, I think you can only do the best you can within your personal circumstances, and try and be the best person you can within your own life. It's been interesting for me traveling in countries which have quite dominant religions and a lot of control from their religious beliefs. And there's a lot of good in that because it keeps people believing in the good things. And if you lose that, people get out of control and get very selfish. So, but you could say that people are quite controlled by religion, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying it's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you go, for example, to Japan, some people feel that the Japanese society is very controlled. But having said that, they're enormously respectful of each other. They're very courteous and kind, and I found that here as well, and in Bhutan as well. You know, people are very good, and I put that down to just good standards of life. You know, I asked you the question earlier on about theft.
Yeah.
Well, you know, in London, people are going around snatching mobile phones.
Oh.
You know, you're walking along the street, people are on their mobile phones, people are just going along bicycles, snatching them. You know, so we have a lot of, we've lost a lot of respect for other people, and because to some extent we've lost some of the controls of religion. Am I making sense?
Yeah, I'm making sense.
So, you know, it's a very big subject and very
This is
debatable.
practical experience.
Yeah, it's but I think it's the global world we live in that you know, it's really interesting that you're dealing with tribal native people, and so much of that is lost in Western culture. You know.
Yeah.
Do you want to switch that off now?
I like your laugh and your smile. It gives it gives pleasure as well as the energy.
You're very sweet. Very kind, too kind.
Yeah. I mean, I'm very curious. So you are nearly 80, and you are like traveling like very well maintaining. So normally here in Nepal, and people when they are around 50, 60, so they cannot travel. I mean, they cannot travel abroad. One thing, because their economy is very low.
Yes.
They cannot travel other periphery also, because people, they think they are, the physical is good, but mentally they already old, because I cannot do. But you prove I can do myself. I mean,
Well,
this is my life, so I can prove to. So like nearly 80 years is also like just a number.
yes, but I think I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
And I think this group is very interesting because there isn't just me, there is Yvonne
Yeah.
and Sue, who are so curious about the world and so interested and learning so much.
Yeah.
And we're just very lucky, I think. You know?
How many countries you visited in your whole life?
Oh, I haven't counted them.
More than
That-
50, I think.
No, I wouldn't say no, but I've been to quite a few countries in Africa, in the southern area of Africa, like Zimbabwe and Botswana and Namibia, which were really interesting. And there's a lot of poverty there and corrupt government,
Yeah.
as I understand.
Yeah.
When I was in Zimbabwe, I must have asked a leading political question,
No.
because the guide said, walls have ears.
Mhm.
When we moved out of Zimbabwe, he could talk about it.
Oh.
So, you know, it's so I've travelled in those countries which were uh, quite poor in many respects. I've been to Japan, I've been to Australia, I have been to South America, to quite a lot of countries in South America, and some in Europe. So yeah,
So what are you doing
and the
your
United States.
yeah? What are you doing your retired life? Like your what is your daily routine?
Sorry,
What is your daily routine? Routine.
routine. Oh,
एकछिन सर भाइ
ए ए तँ हेरिरहेको
अँ
मैले त हामीले के राखिरहेको र
So what is your like daily routine means? Which time you wake up and after
Uh,
wake up to like wake up and to between sleep. So what
Yeah.
are you doing?
I wake up about 8 o'clock in the morning, and I am really very lazy now. So I read the newspaper because I like to read. So I read all of the newspaper, have my breakfast, and then I have a big garden. I showed you a picture of my garden.
It's
So
very beautiful.
I love to be outside, and I go for walks and see my friends and go to bed about, well, I usually in the evening I sit down and read, and we have in England we have news at 10 o'clock in the evening, so generally I watch the headlines and then go to bed.
Oh, that's, I mean, you have still active life.
Yes,
Yeah,
but I'm
that's-
very lucky, not many people my age can be as
Yeah,
active.
that's
I am so disappointed I didn't get to climb the tiger's nest.
yeah.
I wanted to put that in there, in my memory bank.
Yeah. How many hours you sleep?
Oh, I sleep a lot. I sleep 8, 9.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why your
I
cuteness is more flourish. Normally nowadays people they cannot sleep well like
Yes.
4-5 hours. Most of the time they have like tension, insomnia. There is many issues
Yes.
in their lives.
Yes, people
Yeah.
have a lot of worries.
Yeah, worries.
And I think there is good reason why they have a lot of worries. I think life is difficult. Life is very stressful now, particularly financially.
Yeah.
If people are worried all the time about getting a home, paying bills, I understand why they're worried. Do you own a home? Do you own a house, or do you live in a rented house?
Rented house.
Yeah. And you see, it's really difficult. You have to pay the bills
Yeah.
and pay for your children's education,
Yeah.
pay for medical.
Everything.
I mean, your colleague had to see the doctor last week, and I could tell he was quite worried, because not only are you worried about your physical health, you're also worried about what it's going to cost. Are you going to have blood tests, which
Yeah.
cost money? Are you going to have to have scans? And that's very worrying for people.
Now old is very expensive
Yes,
everywhere. In Nepal also, comparison 20 years to like now, it's very expensive.
yes,
Because now I'm 42 years.
yes,
I already mentioned. So before 20 years, the living cost is very simple.
yes.
That time there is no social media. I mean, there is nothing like in this world, and people they have minimum things they are happy.
Yes,
Now the people they have many expectation,
yes,
and they have lots of problem about the relationship. I mean about the income, about the friendship. So everywhere people.
I think that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
say. But interestingly, in Bhutan, there was a man making one of those, I forget what they're called.
Mandala?
Yes.
Mandala, yeah.
With sand.
Yeah, sand mandala, yeah.
And so he had been making that for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And the question was, what would happen to it when he'd finished? And they'd said, well, he will let it go. And that is amazing in a way, because our lives are transient.
Yeah.
But when you're struggling through a life trying to make a living for yourself and your family, it is very worrying, especially in a country like this where
Yeah.
the cost of living has escalated, and there's very little support. Interestingly, I hadn't seen many people living on the streets until today, and then when we walked from
The
the
city
Durbar
city,
Square,
yeah.
yes. So I really like to see both sides of life in a place. So that will stay in my memory, as well as the lovely things.
That's good. So we have very lovely talking with you.
And you
I'm
too.
very,
You
very,
turn
very
it
glad
off
to,
now.
because it's a nice memory to.
Very sweet of you, but please
Yeah,
turn it
yeah.
off now.
Yeah.